like once I made that decision to like I'm going to do music, I never really thought about it again. It was like how a plumber thinks of I am a plumber and I plumb.
So we've got Harry Mitchell here, who is piano player, teacher, composer, soon to be dad, squash player.
Yeah.
So many things. Thanks for agreeing to these three questions. So the first question, why do you have music in your life?
That's actually that's a really hard question. I had to think about that for a while. Because there are so many different reasons, but I think the first reason is that my dad used to do DJing when I was a kid, or maybe even before I was a kid. Yeah, but awesome. he had like this big CD collection, and so like growing up, there was like one Michael Jackson, the History album, that like big double CD. Yeah. That we used to love, and so we would always play that. We would always put that on, and then he had like a bunch of other compilations, like he had a big band compilation, like 20s big band, and what else did he have? Like just a lot of like generic 80s DJ material.
Just something for every occasion.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And so I think that maybe like having like quite a wide range of music just like at home was maybe like the start of like why I play music now. But then I think after that, just my high school experience, like there are a lot of good teachers at the high school I went to, and we had like a lot of really good like gigs that the school kind of put on for us. So I think when I was in year 8, Aaron Chulai came over and played at our school, which was awesome.
Oh, man.
And it was, it was like such an experience as a year 8. Like you don't know what's going on, but it sounds good.
Totally.
It's
a very mature gig for a high school to put on, for one, because I mean, Aaron's music's very complex and sophisticated, and
yeah, I mean, I had no idea what he was doing, but I knew it sounded awesome. And Danny Suss was playing drums and Sam Anning was playing bass, so it was a great band. And I remember afterwards they let some of us get up and like jam a blues with them or something, and awesome. That was cool. Yeah, but yeah, so like going to high school and having all these great experiences musically, like I think we got to see a Wajo concert, which was when like I remember Andrew Joy was in the band at that time.
Right.
Can't remember who else. I just remember him for some reason.
He's very, very memorable.
Yeah, that's right. That, and then they took us to see the Whopper Honours recitals as well around that time. And so, yeah, maybe just being exposed to a whole bunch of music then made me want to do music when I finished school. But then I think like once I made that decision to like I'm going to do music, I never really thought about it again. It was like how a plumber thinks of being like I am a plumber and I plumb.
Yeah, right. Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember that reason? Do you remember that moment where you're sort of like, oh, yep, I think music is my thing?
Yeah, I think I'd been doing like a year of jazz piano lessons, and maybe it was like listening to an Oscar Peterson record or something. I think that's when I really, really started to like the music. Or I didn't understand it then, but I knew enough about it to be really into it.
Yeah.
And so that was why like I decided to play music. But then I always ask myself like, why do I decide to keep playing music? Because I could just go and study something else and not have to play music. And so yeah, I'm always asking like, why do I keep playing music? And I think one of the reasons is I really like the social part of it. So
Yeah.
like playing solo doesn't interest me that much. Like you would know, like always playing with heaps of people, it's so much more fun with people around.
Yeah, totally. And I think the social aspect, which is difficult at the moment in the current sort of climate we're in, because you realise the friendships and your friendships and your work colleagues are all the same, and that the social aspect of music is really important. And that's I'm finding the same for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely the social part, and I guess seeing how people's personalities come out of their instrument, that's like a big part of it. And just being able to watch how other people approach music, and then when you play with them, and then seeing what that experience can create. So there's that, and then I really like just sitting down and writing music. That's the other reason I keep playing music, because I feel like every time you sit down, you have an awesome opportunity to make something that hasn't been made before. And it's maybe, you would get the same. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings to the second question, because the second question is, how do you make music?
Okay. Yeah. So, recently, like the last like 6 months, I've been making music differently from how I normally would, because it kind of ties into my masters that I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that in composition, and so before, is it cool if I talk about how I compose?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this is okay. Your interpretation of the question, because there's lots of different ways people answer. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I used to not really have anything like really specific when I started writing. It may have just been like, I heard this thing on this record and I'm going to write a tune sort of like with that vibe, or use this one idea, and there was no kind of formal process, which is fine. Like, I enjoy writing like that, but also after a while I started to notice that I wasn't getting like any different results really from doing that.
Yeah.
So I had to like change my approach. And so what I've been doing recently is, like, as part of my study, is kind of, I'm taking 2 saxophone players and their music, and kind of working out what the specific information is in their composition, and then categorizing that information, and then choosing based on the category how I'm going to compose. So it's not taking like the specific thing, it's taking what the thing is and then thinking about all the other options inside that one idea.
Could you give an example?
Yeah, so like I've been studying, so it's Will Vincent and Seamus Blake that I'm studying. And so I noticed, like, on Will Vincent's tunes, I'm taking like his phrasing, and then looking at how he writes phrases in his compositions, and they'll often be like, say like 3-bar phrase, a 5-bar phrase, a 4-bar phrase, and then another 3-bar, and then a 6-bar phrase, something weird like that.
Yeah.
And then going, okay, so what is it about that phrasing? And so I kind of put a label on to what that is. So like I call it like symmetric, asymmetric, and then odd and even. So it's like, if it's a symmetrical phrase, it's the same as the last one, and if it's odd, it's an odd length, or if it's even, it's an even length. And so that's like one category, and then so you go, okay, so he does this kind of, it's like symmetrical odd, symmetrical even, asymmetrical odd, and then you work out kind of like what that is, and then when you go to compose, you take that as your starting point.
Okay, so kind of identifying, kind of making up processes that sort of suit, that you can use. They're just kind of finding sometimes finding something out of something they wouldn't have thought about necessarily, and then putting a process to that. Yeah. Cool. So, you've been...
that's pretty much it.
Right. Oh, is that all?
Oh, well, yeah. So, See ya. Yeah. No, I mean, so yeah, there's that. So there's that, and there's like a bunch of other categories. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking one tune and then running it through that analysis process, and then writing a tune that's like a direct response to that tune that was analyzed. Right. And then so every time I'm going like a Will Vincent tune, analyze, and then do a composition, then a Seamus Blake tune, analyze, and then do a composition. And then each time I do the composition or the analysis, I work out that maybe like the analysis method needs adjusting, or is like not going to work for the composing part. And so it's like you're constantly changing things, and sometimes it seems like super counterintuitive to composing, but I don't think I can say yet that like it's not helpful, because I'm really excited to sit down and see what happens when I don't think about that also.
Yeah, well, I think any sort of way of being able to push your craft or find different ways of creating music, I think is going to be useful. You're probably going to you might never use some of it ever again, but you will use things that kind of work for you. Yeah. If you can, get sort of processes from other sources that are not your normal way of composing, then you'll be producing different music. Yeah. So
I'm happy, like even if it comes out subconsciously, I'm happy that it was done, and I think it's an interesting process. And if I didn't do it formally, like as part of a master's study, like I don't think I would ever sit down and do something like that. Well,
we spend our whole life trying to avoid, you stay in the comfort zone.
That's right. Yeah.
So you do. I think it is useful for these kind of studies and masters or PhD to put yourself in a different situation where it sort of forces you to think about things differently. It's very really useful.
Yeah,
painful.
Because I noticed. Very painful. Yeah, but I noticed like you seem like, I'm sure you got a lot out of your PhD process when you were like writing stuff for the space.
Yeah.
Like how much did you think about that afterwards? Like
I've gone through different periods of thinking about it. But it just makes you just more aware of. I mean, it's made me more aware of this performance spaces, and also trying to think about using the space more. I mean, it's once you know it, you know it. You have it as a consideration all the time. So the choices that you'll make after this process you'll be informed by what you've been doing now. So you won't unknow it.
Yeah, but that's like invaluable. Like you can't to just learn something like that and then have that as a thing that you're always aware of when you're composing. Like you don't just get that from trying a couple of things, and like you have to actually do a kind of a big project to understand that really deeply. Yeah, definitely. You won't just if someone just tells it to you, it's not gonna sink in. You actually have to do it for a while. Yeah. Totally. Very cool. We'll go to number 3 because nice. You never know. There might be a baby happening any time. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I gotta go. So, what excites you musically right now? Right now, well, I think I've been listening to the same couple of things for a while, for the last maybe like year. And so one of them is Paul Simon's music. So recently I've been listening to this album, what's it called? Live Ryman, I think. And it's kind of this, it's this really gospel-y, it's like a gospel Paul Simon album with South American influences. Yeah. But it's also recorded really well, and it's live. So I think it's recorded better than like some of his other live concerts. And so, I've been listening to that a lot and I mean, I'm not really thinking about what the music is. I just enjoy putting it on and listening to it.
That is also okay.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to tell yourself that that's okay.
Why aren't I stressing over you? Why aren't I trying to study this? Or it's nice just to let the music wash over you.
Yeah. I've been listening to that, and Paul Motion on Broadway, which Alex Reed put me onto. Listening to that, and I love that his trio and the group with Charlie Hayden as well.
Right.
Did you see Bill Frisell in Sydney?
Yes.
I didn't see it. That would have been. I heard it was amazing, right?
That was like 90 minutes of just beautiful, perfect music. They just they segued sort of every tune. Like they didn't talk at all, and it's just just beautiful. Yeah, I just get tingles now even thinking about it. It was just it was. Sorry, it was an amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'd never seen him live before, and it was incredible. And just the sound. I mean, the sound that they got out of that trio was amazing, and just sonically the way they built tunes and just went seamlessly from one thing to another for like an hour and a half. It was very amazing. Mm.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that group, and then this other album I've been listening to a lot is Paul Motion, Jason Moran, and Chris Potter. Funnily enough, have you heard that?
No.
I can't remember what it's called. I think Alex also put me onto that album, but it's amazing. Like 3 people that you wouldn't really think would work together, and it sounds incredible. Like it's the best Chris Potter. In my opinion, it's him at his best, and somehow they just maybe Paul just like sucks him into his vortex.
His vortex. His emotion vortex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that album, and I've also been listening to a lot of Ahmad Jamal. So I read that. There's actually that Live at the Pershing album has like that they recorded all these other tracks, and I didn't know that they were actually released. So I got that album on CD, and it's got like 20 tracks also from the same concert that didn't get released with the original recording.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, they play like great songs. Like they play Cherokee on it. It's really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so those things are pretty much what I've been listening to like the most, and what I've been really into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Well, they're the 3 questions. Thanks for your responses. It's great to hear. Man. Great to hear everyone's sort of interpretation of the questions, and so thank you very much. And stay safe.